Fostering community. And this is a super important topic in a recovery residence is not only the community, but the culture of the recovery residence. If you have a strong community and a strong culture within your recovery residence, then as you bring in the new person, you're setting them up for success. If you have a weak community and a weak culture, then it's just based on the individual, fighting for their own recovery, where it's not a collaborative and supportive environment and they can lean on their peers. So this to me is the bread and butter of peer support within a recovery residence, is cultivating this community, cultivating this culture in your recovery residence. So community support. Creating a strong culture within a recovery residence provides residents with a sense of community. This support network can significantly impact their recovery journey by fostering a sense of belonging and connection with others who understand their experience. Emotional safety. A carefully cultivated culture prioritizes emotional safety, allowing residents to feel secure in expressing their vulnerabilities and struggles. This fosters an environment of empathy and understanding, which is crucial to the recovery process. And positive peer influence. Encouraging a positive culture within the residence facilitates positive peer influence. This can motivate residents to support and uplift each other, fostering a sense of camaraderie and shared commitment to growth and healing. The importance of community in recovery. Support and understanding. So a strong community provides support and understanding, which is crucial for individuals in recovery. Shared experience. So community allows individuals to share their experience, lending the empathy and mutual encouragement. It reduces isolation. Community helps foster reduced feelings of isolation and promote a sense of belonging connection. If you have a strong culture and a strong community, you're going to have a lot less guys isolated in their rooms and a lot more people out in the common areas, hanging out with each other and just being a family and a peer community. And long-term recovery. An inclusive community fosters an environment conducive to sustained recovery and well-being. So what is culture in recovery? In a recovery residence, the culture plays a pivotal role in shaping the experiences and outcomes of individuals on their journey to wellness. Defining the culture involves establishing a set of shared values, norms, and behaviors that create a supportive and empowering environment. It encompasses the way residents interact, communicate, and approach their recovery process. The culture also centers around inclusivity, respect, and compassion, providing a safe place for individuals to explore their challenges and triumphs. It involves promoting a sense of community where everyone feels valued and understood. Additionally, defining the culture means embracing diversity and recognizing the unique strengths and needs of each resident. And this is where we talk about priority populations and recovery paths. This is our culture. We're defining our culture. One of the strongest protocols that recovery residents can have is their screening policy and procedure, making sure that people are an appropriate fit for our program, for our culture, and referring people who are not really a good fit, people that we can't really touch and we can't really help because they don't have the same needs and the same thought process as us, while embracing diversity and inclusion, right? But they need to fit within the culture to make sure our culture remains strong and our outcomes therefore remain strong. Furthermore, the culture in a recovery residence involves fostering a sense of purpose and direction, guiding residents towards personal growth and positive change. It sets the tone for the entire community, inspiring individuals to connect, heal, and thrive together. So creating a supportive and inclusive environment. It's essential for the well-being of residents in the recovery residence. We talked about that. It involves fostering that culture of empathy, understanding, and acceptance among the community members, and encourages open communication, non-judgmental atmospheres, and again, embracing diversity and individual differences while still fitting into what we can serve and who we serve. So in a perfect world, the new girl is going to enter into the home. At this point, she's focused on herself as a natural phenomenon, right? She feels anxious. Everyone in the house knows each other, and she knows no one. Alcoholics and addicts are predisposed to this sense of being the black sheep and the odd man out. And an underlying sense of unworthiness acts as a key contributor to addiction. We know this. The new girl right now is completely focused on herself. She views everything about the community as a barrier or a resource to get what she wants and she believes she needs, influencing a profound change in the residents' thinking and behavior is achieved in a community environment where peers consistently model more balanced behavior, right? You're a model. NAR quality standards set forth specific practices to facilitate development of a recovery community that relies on peer leadership, peer accountability, and peer support. And when these standards are successfully implemented, it's the peer community that takes consistent and persistent steps to bring the new resident across that threshold, from like the bitter cold of addiction to the grace of recovery. This consistency and persistency may be guided and encouraged and supported by senior staff. However, it's the residents themselves, the peers, who assume responsibility for the health and the wellness of the recovery community. So embedded in such a culture as the one we're describing, what can we see happen for this new girl? She's going to actively contribute into the wellness of her peers, the same way that they hold other members accountable to do the same, and the same way she's going to be held accountable to do the same. She's going to value her community and she's going to take steps to enhance it and protect it actively. And these actions are going to benefit not only herself, but others. There's going to be a place of ownership and internal wellness as opposed to a desire to simply fit in. She's going to experience this phenomenon as a return to her true self. She greatly values self-contentment, and this sense of purpose and belonging is going to nourish the participation, including mentorship and support of other new residents. The student's going to learn more by sharing her experience with the newcomer. This activity further extends her roots into the soil of the recovery. This entire culture of the community centers on recovery. Thus, the individual members grow recovery capital organically in an environment of peer support and accountability. And in this perfect scenario, staff aren't so much as the guide dogs, but more like border collies, right? They're empowering the peer communities to support each other, and they're going to call people out when the behaviors are not conducive to the health and the wellness of the recovery community. But it's the peers that are really going to facilitate that and shape the community and the culture. And so it looks like welcome orientation, they buy into the culture, right? Then they begin to actively contribute in the home. They begin to experience the results and see positive change in themselves. And then they begin to start giving back and mentor and support. And then as the new person comes in, they begin to welcome and help with orientation. And the cycle just organically continues to repeat itself, where peers are now being integrated into themselves, into the peers that surround them, to their family, right? The recovery home and the community at large. And we're going to watch another video.
But I was surrounded with people that were, a decent amount of them were actually trying to do the right thing and stay sober. So I just kind of started to follow those people around and see what they were doing. And the other thing I do tell people is, when somebody says they don't want to do something, I say, well, this is what I did it. I rode the bus for a year. I've been here almost 3 years now. So I've been through all this stuff, even to the point where I did it. I was so willing and I did everything that they asked me to do, but I hated journaling. So I came up with this little scam where I would write down stuff, but I wouldn't put the date on it. And I just kept showing the same journal. Then my sponsor pointed out to me that was very dishonest. And then when I started doing program reviews and I had people that didn't want to journal, I was able to say, oh, okay, I know all about that. Let me help you with that. So, that's a beautiful thing about my life. Yeah. don't tell them that because I don't want to give away my idea. So, it's really good to be able to have been through everything that these girls are going through and to be able to, again, I remember one day when Rachel called me from work and she was saying that somebody at work was being so mean to her, blah, blah. And I was so excited to be able to say, oh my God, I learned something. Let me tell you what you can do about that. It's just feels so good to be able to use that to give to somebody and help them feel better. And then if they try it and they're like, yeah, and you're like, it's the best feeling in the world to be able to see that, yeah.
The house manager is the key to the recovery. He controls the environment, he controls the climate of either the men or the women in that recovery house. If he's trained correctly, if he's trained in how to operate a house, how to be a leader, okay, how to be a brother, or if it's a woman, how to be a sister, then the house will run way better than someone who is early in their recovery, okay, but not be able to handle that stress of individuals going through their struggles day in and day out. So the recovery house training, which I'm going to put in effect myself in Pennsylvania, is going to be key.
And I learned about my own recovery program, how while I was meeting the requirements as a resident and a house manager, you have to do a bit more. Like, you're modeling what you want these people to be and live up to and commit to. So it's no longer just doing the bare minimum of 1 to 3 meetings a week or calling my sponsor once a week. It was about really living all the commitments at the house that we expect other people. And so today, a year and a half later, that we have this women's house, and we have a really strong group of 9 women. And again, there's the core group of women that come in and they're all on fire and they do the thing, they do the deal. And there's the people that come in and that's not for me, and they leave. Like, it's just not comfortable being in that kind of environment. And we absolutely try and build that recovery community within the home. And we do morning meditation at 7 o'clock every day in the morning, and followed by our chores. And based on feedback from the women, that's been the main thing that's kind of built that community in our house, because it takes a level of vulnerability to share what you're grateful for and what your intentions are for the day, and you get held accountable on what you see you're going to do that day, and being able to share when you're struggling as well. And we have big book study in the house once a week, and so we really just we're about recovery here, and how to support you. And what I've learned most, because there's no guidebook on how to be a house manager. You really just I've just learned along the way, that relationship has to go both ways. It's not just me telling you this, and this. It's about being invested in their growth and in their recovery and in their life. And so if one of the residents gets a job at Starbucks, I'm going to get my coffee at Starbucks that day. Like, just showing that kind of support. If whatever, it's going both. They hold me accountable, I hold them accountable. And really, my job is easy when they're holding each other accountable, because I've modeled that and we've modeled it for each other.
Right now, all our house managers have come through our residence and have decided they want to do that. And that's something that we'd like to do and committed to it. So they're grateful to have that opportunity. The way we operate is our director has his own apartment, and all the other managers live together in their own apartments, and we pay them. We pay them more than they would be getting just out, getting a regular job, but we don't pay them an awful lot, but they probably don't get paid enough. But as we can afford to pay them, we will. We do a lot of stuff as a community, so our managers and our residents are really friends. We do a lot of events, maybe 6 or 7 a year, everything from Thanksgiving to Super Bowl we do a lot of events, and it keeps everybody together. So our managers love their job, and that's important. If they didn't love their job, they wouldn't be there, for sure. Well, as we have evolved, I was initially the one person there, and then as we got another person, we sort of learned what's best and how you operate over a period of time, what works, what doesn't work. You try this, you try that doesn't work, you stop it. some things you put, like, we're gonna do this, and it turns out that never happens, just isn't feasible, or just, not motivated to do it. So over time, we start to build a structure. So we're fortunate to have time behind us and evolve to where we are right now. The last evolution part has been all our managers are now recovery coaches, with the idea that they're meeting with the people anyway, being a recovery coach and expanding on that. So we're perfecting that and getting better at that on a regular basis. We believe in it. So, I would say our manager, getting a good manager and keeping good managers is a big part of having a successful house. We've gone through a lot of different managers that weren't really cut out for it, and you don't know that going in. You only know that through experience, and you have to be managing them to make sure that that doesn't get out of whack.
Which is we've incorporated recovery coaches as our house staff participants, and that has been working fantastically well. There's no scientific studies on that, but we're working with Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids to try to have a peer-reviewed study that says, here's the success, here's the outcomes for people that have been in just a level 3 in our recovery house versus the level 3+, which that's not in the nomenclature. That's just something I made up, right? That has a recovery coach that's there within the recovery house. And the magic behind that is you have much more interactions and there's less chance to have isolation. And that's coupled with the fact that since we don't need to pay a clinician $60,000 plus a year or whatever clinicians make, 24/7, they can pay somebody basically the participant fee of $125 a week. Give that to them free. They're there, they're giving back. They're many times, I don't have any clinicians in the room, right? No, they're many times as effective, or in some cases even more effective than having somebody that just came out of college with a master's degree and live, have the experience. So that's very encouraging for us, and we're looking forward to seeing what the results are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I very actively try to encourage and build, and I actually put significant funding into building, support networks of peers. Because that's almost, I would say that is, I wouldn't even say almost, I would say that is as important a component to the recovery process for emerging adults as anything else. I would say that's as important as like how good your clinical services are, how good like the academically focused case management is that I do. So I mean, like all of these pieces sort of like fit together. And the academically focused case manager is like cleaning up kids' transcripts and getting them enrolled in school, and then you providing like good therapy on a clinical level. But the peer support, I mean, the reality is for young people, if you don't think recovery is fun, like if it's lame, you're gonna get high. And so the only way to really you can try to enforce it, you can try to like create like the most draconian structure of rules possible and like impose them behaving well. Or if you really want to be effective, you get buy-in. And the only way you get buy-in is you get it through peers, and you get it through peer support. When they're like, hey, Billy does this and Billy's cool, I want to do this. That's how you get people to really, really buy it. So we do also all that stuff. We just had a recovery tailgate on Friday where, so we're out there with like Can Jam and, we're doing our, like, we always do it through like YPR, the collegiate recovery communities and things along those lines, because it affords us the ability to allow like multiple treatment centers and agencies and halfway houses to all come together and find commonality in terms of like provision of services and support infrastructure for young people. And so, I mean, that's all you really need. You need a couple awesome kids that are really motivated and diehard, and like everyone else has a much better shot at staying in recovery as a result of the fact that they see their peers succeeding and being happy. And that's worth the best therapist in the world. You know, two peers that are really into it, that are really into recovery, really into doing the deal. They're organizing stuff. They're going out. They're watching movies. They're doing advocacy work. You know, all of that. Two people can really pull a community of like 50, 60, 70 people together. You know, like that.
There we just saw a video of people in different roles, but all talking about the same thing, right? How important house managers' peers are in the recovery residence framework. And you can add all the different bells and whistles in, but if you don't have the core peer staff, you're just going to have a different type of culture and one that's not strong in fostering community and sense of purpose and belonging. So celebrating successes and milestones is just super important. So unity and achievements. When residents achieve their milestones in recovery, it's a cause for celebration and a reminder of the collective strength and support within the community. Coming together to acknowledge and commend these achievements creates a sense of unity and reinforces the shared commitment to growth and positive change. Reflecting on progress. So marking significant milestones such as anniversaries of sobriety provides an opportunity for residents to reflect on how far they've come. It's a time to express gratitude, share personal stories of transformation, and inspire others who are in their own recovery journey. And then community bonds and support. So celebrate those successes within recovery residents fosters a sense of community and support. Whether it's applauding academic achievements, employment milestones, or personal breakthroughs. These celebrations strengthen the bonds between residents and reinforce that positive environment essential for sustained recovery. So maintaining and involving in the culture takes a leadership commitment with clear and support active involvement from the leadership team, staff training and development like these ones with continuous education and skills enhancements for staff and peers, resident engagement, encouraging residents' participation and feedback. We know that recovery is ever evolving, just like addiction is. What was true 20 years ago is not true today. And so getting resident engagement and looking at how we can improve our modalities is just crucial to continue to fight this battle. And community partnerships. So collaborating with local organizations for resources and support. It's not all on us. And a lot of organizations try to recreate the wheel internally when there are outside organizations that are providing all those services and can eliminate barriers for us. So really looking at what's available in the community and establishing those relationships so that we can all lean on each other to create a person-centered approach where we're focusing on the individual, but we're leaving the specifics to those who have already created that wheel, right? That's their wheelhouse. This is ours. The recovery residents peer supportive environment, that's our wheelhouse. Clinicians are clinicians, RCOs are RCOs, employment readiness services, medications, walk-in clinics, just you name it. Fostering those partnerships in the community is really essential for the overall process. So once a recovery resident has established a strong culture, it's really crucial to maintain and evolve it over time. Leadership commitment plays that fundamental role in upholding the cultural values and ensuring that active participation in its development. Well, staff training and continuous development programs are essential to instill the core principles of the culture and maintain high quality standards. Resident engagement through involvement in decision making and feedback mechanisms further contributes to the involvement of the culture, making it a really collective effort. And finally, forging those partnerships in local community organizations enhances that support network, offering more comprehensive resources for the residents and its residents that it serves. And then just overcoming challenges and building that community is going to be building trust. Establishing trust among residents with diverse backgrounds is essential for community building, and it can be a challenge for some. Communication barriers, addressing any language, cultural, or emotional barriers to ensure effective communication and understanding, and then resolving conflicts, right? This is going to happen. You're going to have conflicts, but resolving them in an ethical way is very important. And so developing those conflict resolution strategies to maintain that harmonious and supportive environment for all the residents is really crucial.